Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we plunge into some really fascinating source material and pull out those sparkling nuggets of knowledge just for you.
Yeah, getting right into the source.
Exactly. And today we're heading way back, embarking on an ancient journey, really, exploring military organization, key figures, all through the lens of these very early texts.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, basically, is to uncover some intriguing facts about ancient chariot
It's
warriors.
a very specific focus, which is great.
Right. So our source material for this particular deep dive is called Kaurava and Pandava Chariot Warriors.
Hmm.
To give you a bit of context, this text really delves into a pivotal conflict from an ancient Indian epic. It focuses specifically on the elite fighters, from the two warring factions.
The key players.
The key players, exactly. And we're going to kick things off today by unpacking two very specific verses. Just two.
Amazing what you can get from just a couple of lines sometimes.
That's exactly the question I want to pose to you listening. What can just a few lines of ancient Sanskrit text really tell us about a conflict, about its participants, and maybe even the mindset of the people involved back then?
It's a lot, potentially.
Let's find out. Let's start our close look with verse 6 as we, explore this one. What kind of details immediately jump out? What type of information are we getting here?
Well, it's fascinating how quickly it gets specific.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 6 straight away gives us names of Pandava chariot warriors.
Okay.
So we hear about Yuhamanyu, and he's explicitly described as courageous.
Okay. Courageous.
Noted. And then there's Udamoja, who is called mighty.
Mighty. So descriptive words right off the bat.
Right. These aren't just, soldier A, soldier B. They're individuals, and they have these specific qualities highlighted, which immediately sort of establishes their importance, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just a list, it's characterization almost. And beyond just those individual names, what else does verse 6 tell us? It mentions family ties too, right?
It does.
It mentions the son of Subhadra, that's Abhimanyu for those familiar, and the sons of Draupadi.
Precisely. And adding those family connections, like Abhimanyu and the sons of Draupadi, it gives another layer. It emphasizes lineage, maybe specific groups within the bigger army.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the crucial detail, the thing that ties all these individuals together, Yuhamanyu, Uttamaja, Abhimanyu, the sons of Draupadi,
Yep.
is how they're all described collectively.
Which it is.
They're called great chariot warriors. The Sanskrit is Maharatha.
Maharatha. Okay, and what does that mean? Is it just like saying elite soldier?
Well, yes and no. It's more specific than just elite. It implies a really high level of skill and significance in how they waged war back then. A Maharatha wasn't just someone good with a chariot.
Okay.
They were considered masters. Capable, it said, of facing, many opponents all by themselves.
Wow. Okay, so it's a serious designation.
Oh, absolutely. It immediately tells you their status as elite. Yeah. And their importance on the battlefield must have been immense. It points to a kind of structured recognition of military skill.
So it's more than just a rank. It's about prowess, maybe even reputation.
Exactly. Prowess, reputation. It kind of reveals how the society valued that individual skill and maybe how that power was used for, morale, strategy. It's something you actually see echoed with elite forces throughout history, really.
That's a great point. Okay, so that's verse 6 setting up one side. But then you mentioned verse 7 offers a shift, a compelling one.
Yes, it does.
So let's unpack this. This is where it gets really interesting, maybe. What do we learn from verse 7? New speaker, new army.
Indeed. Verse 7 introduces a different speaker. And that speaker is very clearly laying out the details of a different army, their own army, it seems.
Right. And who are they talking to, does it say?
It does. The addressee is specified as, "O best of the twice-born," or Brahmanas.
Okay, best of the twice-born. What's the significance of addressing a Brahmana there?
Well, addressing a Brahmana, particularly the best of them, it usually indicates the audience is someone seeking knowledge, maybe spiritual understanding, or just being specifically instructed or informed about something important.
Okay. And this speaker, they're about to list the leaders of my army, as it says, setting up a contrast, maybe, a counterpoint to the warriors we just heard about in verse 6.
That seems to be exactly the structure, yes. A direct comparison, or at least a parallel listing.
And you mentioned earlier something about why they're listing them, not just that they're listing them.
Yes. This is, I think, really crucial. The speaker explicitly states the purpose for listing these names. It says, For your understanding.
For your understanding. Okay, so what does that imply? You could argue listing names is just, keeping records or something, but for your understanding sounds deliberate.
It sounds very deliberate. It's absolutely key, I think. This isn't just an inventory. It's not a boast necessarily.
Yeah.
It implies a really clear intention to impart knowledge, to bring clarity to the listener, the addressee. So these lists, they aren't just data points. They are information being actively conveyed and with a specific purpose. Educational, maybe. Informative, definitely.
So it suggests these texts might have served a purpose beyond just telling a story, like maybe partly instructional.
It certainly suggests that, doesn't it?
I could.
It highlights how deeply these ancient cultures might have valued not just the act of conflict, but the understanding of it, the players involved, their strengths. It feels almost like an early form of military intelligence briefing, in a way.
Huh. Knowing your own assets, knowing your opponents.
Yeah, that sounds fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental.
Okay, so connecting this back to us, to you listening, what does all this mean? What can we take from this, just from these two verses, for our understanding today of these ancient texts and maybe even ancient military thinking?
Well, it's quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. So from just two verses, we've kind of taken this deep dive, and we've uncovered a fair amount, actually. We get this vivid glimpse into specific heroic figures on one side, the Pandavas.
All categorized by their skill, their prowess, like courageous, mighty, Maharatha.
Right.
And then we see the stage being set for the introduction of the leaders from the opposing force.
Ikaravas.
And maybe most interestingly, all of this detail, this structured listing, is explicitly stated as being for your understanding.
And that really just reiterates the power of, well, close reading, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
think about how these specific words, courageous, mighty, great chariot warriors, and then the simple act of listing names for understanding. It gives you such deep insights.
Insights into what, specifically?
Into the values of the time, for one. What qualities were admired in a warrior. But also the communication styles.
Yeah.
How information was structured and shared in these ancient cultures.
Right.
It tells us it wasn't just about who fought, but how they were perceived, how they were categorized, and how that knowledge itself was considered important enough to transmit deliberately.
So the knowledge itself was valuable.
Exactly. It suggests that back then, the sheer act of knowing your enemy, knowing yourself, and valuing the explicit transfer of that knowledge was maybe seen as being just as critical as, well, the weapons themselves.
That leads to a final thought, maybe, for you to consider. What does it tell you about let's say, the strategic depth, maybe even the human element of ancient conflict? When these texts take such care, such pains to identify key players, their roles, their reputations, and not just to tell a good story, but explicitly for someone's deeper understanding, what does that meticulous detail suggest?